It might seem strange when you first hear that first bit of the heading, but really, perfect is the enemy of done. And it's a lesson that I've learnt with one of my colleagues again today, and thought I would share it with yourself. So let's get stuck in right now. Now, with so many things that we do or don't do in and around our businesses, one of the, I think, key factors simply comes down to understanding that a lot of what we should be doing is very easy to do, but it's also very easy not to do. And this becomes a challenge because just as it's quite simple and quite easy to do these things, it's also very simple and easy not to do them. And I think one of the big things that we learn all the time, and I, again, learned this lesson today, I would do a stark reminder that none of us are perfect, was the fact that I had to remember earlier today that perfect really is the enemy of good, of done, sorry, not good. Well, it is actually the enemy of perfect, but for what today's about is perfect is the enemy of done. And when you think about it, look at your to-do list, your to-achieve list. Maybe look at your, your last 3 month game plan and all the things that you should be doing and have done, maybe haven't done. And most of the time, it's because we want to do things like procrastinate. And we try and make things perfect. We try and just dot our I's a little bit more, cross our T's. We try and just, add that little bit of extra flair. And I mean, look, if you looked at the last week, how many times in the last week have you looked at it like a piece of marketing material and you just wanted to make that blue color a little bit brighter? And so you go and fiddle around with that. Or maybe you, I don't really like this bit, so let's send it back to my graphic designer or to my VA and get them to change the yellow to be an orange, right? Like how many times do we make something what we think is perfect, and ultimately, all we're doing is procrastinating. And so the challenge is that the more we try and make anything perfect, the less we actually get done. Now, if we truly want to make sure that we have huge amounts of influence, impact, empower more people, change more lives, then it's actually about doing more good, smart, effective things more quickly. Otherwise, we have less impact. If we can move faster in the right ways, we obviously are going to have greater impact. So think about all the scenarios in the last 24 hours, maybe the last week, and there would literally be dozens and dozens of times where we've slowed ourselves down, not directly, not deliberately, but we have slowed our growth or we've slowed our forward momentum and progression based on the fact that we're trying to make something too more perfect, and we're not, as a net result, getting it done. We do this all the time. And so much of this comes back to our training. So it's not a criticism of who we are or a negative to, anything about ourselves personally, because let's be honest, we go to uni, we get taught lots of stuff, probably a lot of stuff we don't really need or utilize later, but that's a topic for a different discussion. And so what ends up happening is we start to get competitive. We start to get marked on things, whether it's a pass or a credit or a distinction or a high distinction. And we have university medals and all these different things are all about making ourselves better. And so we start to try and think about, just making that essay a little bit better. Maybe rewording something for the 18th time to make it perfect, make it better, do that extra little bit. And it's also ingrained with us from kids all the way from school days. Rather than, just writing a story, we want to try and they tell us to proofread. We have to make sure we get it, dot our I's and cross our T's, like I say. We've got to make sure that the paragraph's spaced right and we've got the right grammar in place. And yes, these things are important as a learning process, But what it does do is it predisposes us to slow down, double check, triple check. And this then leads into a thing about systems. How many times do we get frustrated that we need to double check something from our team? We've got to triple check that it was done. And all of these avenues come about because of the way we were taught or trained as such as when we were younger and through our education days. So as a net result, we are ingrained to actually go a bit slower, double check, triple check. And how many times do we talk to our team? Maybe it's our admin, operations team, our receptionist, our VAs, etc. And we talk about, double check that before before you send it back. Get attention to detail. We tell everyone to, take the extra 5 or 10 minutes to get this done. Well, the challenge with that is that we actually contradict ourselves, because we contradict ourselves in slowing down, slow down, get it right, get it perfect. But in the process of slowing down and getting it perfect, we don't actually get it done. Or we might eventually get it done 3 weeks later and time has disappeared as a net result, and we don't have the right opportunity there in front of us, or we don't have the right impact or the same impact or opportunity that we once had, because again, perfection is the enemy of done. So the whole thing is this: the vast majority of time, if not all the time, it already is done enough for us to get it out to, say, the marketplace. See, a lot of people want to try and make a program or a new, group service that they're going to offer in the health industry perfect before they launch it. But here's the thing: is it actually what the clients need most? Is it what's going to actually be of best benefit? Is it what's going to sell and market the right way? And a lot of the time, if we're being completely honest with ourselves, it's not. We never will have the exact marketing strategy right. We never will have the exact words and the exact, collateral to get the exact perfect result. So again, it's what it's actually meaning is the more we try and make it perfect before we release our marketing, the longer and less impact we're going to actually be able to have and achieve. So we've got to make sure that ultimately we push towards done rather than perfection. Now, that's not saying we do a half-assed job, nor is it saying that we just push out a whole lot of stuff with no strategy behind it. That's not what we're saying. What I'm saying is we're actually smart enough and good enough and clean and professional and efficient enough that when it already is done, it's done, and let's get it out. Let's get it moving, and let's tweak things and move things as we need to, because we're never going to have anything perfect before it's released. All we're doing is delaying the inevitable, stopping others from being empowered or inspired, stopping the progress and the impact that we're ideally wanting through this process. So we really need to have a reality check right now and really understand that perfect is the enemy of done. The best thing for us is to get it done, for us to be able to get it out to market, ship that product, get that service running, get that impact happening, and modify things as we move forward, improve it, constantly be proactive in chopping and changing and adapting, make sure that we've got more agility and moving forward in those avenues, and stop striving for perfection, because ultimately the more we aim towards having everything perfect before it's done, the more you're actually hampering yourself and your team and your business, slowing down any growth, limiting the ability to have more impact with more clients and make a bigger change in the world. And ultimately, that's not what you do. That's not who you are. And it's probably going to frustrate you knowing that you can't get the growth and scale and impact that you want at times at the pace that you really want to move at. And that's nearly always because we're striving more towards perfection and getting it perfect to be really proud. Sometimes we just need to park the ego and say, you know what? It's done enough. It's done, and it is done bloody well. Let's get it done. Let's get it moving. Let's start it. Let's roll it. Let's ramp it up. Let's rip in. However we want to phrase it. Let's work on done and moving forward with momentum, as opposed to striving for making something perfect, which it's never going to be anyway. So keep that in mind. Have a look at your to-do list, your to-achieve list, your goals and plans moving forward. Have a look back at the last week or two of what hasn't been done, or catch yourself striving for more perfection when you don't need to. It's about getting it done, getting it moving, shipping it faster, being more efficient, effective, and having better results and more impact and growth and scale from that movement forward. Because perfect and perfection is always going to be enemy of done. You're better than that. Let's go ahead. Let's make it sure it's done. Move it forward, move on, get momentum, have more impact. And as a net result, you'll realize that that's the smartest thing we can do if you want to have more impact and more growth in your business right now. Perfect is the enemy of done. Let's not get caught up and self-limit ourselves because we're striving more towards perfection than knowing it's done and getting it out there to market. I'll talk to you again very soon. Hey guys, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Profitable Practice Podcast. I would love nothing more than for you to be able to leave a review. I get so much joy out of listening and reading the amazing things that you guys say about this. So please subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Let's get some more fantastic information out there so all of us can grow the industry together. Cheers for now.